There are moments in the history of churches when one sentence, one accusation, one name whispered from the pulpit can change. And last night, Family Worship Center, the beating heart of Sun Life Broadcasting Network, SBN, experienced one of those moments. People were still settling into their seats. Cameras were still adjusting their lights. Choir members were quietly tuning their mics. And Joseph Larson, young, fiery, passionate preacher, often calm, rarely confrontational, walked up to the pulpit looking nothing like his usual self. His jaw was tight, his voice had weight, his eyes, they carried something dangerous. And then he said, a single sentence. A sentence that sent shockwaves across the entire ministry. There are people among us who know things that can shake this church to its core. And one of them is Tanner Kratzer. The room froze. Not a whisper, not a breath, not a movement. People stared, some leaned forward, others exchanged confused glances. Because for years, Tanner Kratzer was a name behind the scenes, not in front of them, a man who kept his head down, a man who worked quietly, a man who, according to Joseph, knew too much. But what did that mean? What did Tanner know? Why did Joseph Larson bring his name out publicly, from the pulpit, in front of millions watching worldwide? To understand this moment, you need to know the secrets behind it, the history, the tension, the hidden cracks that may now be breaking open. And tonight we are diving deep into all of it. The night everything changed. It was supposed to be a normal midweek service. Joseph had been scheduled to preach, but insiders say he had not planned to make any controversial statements that day. But something happened. Something backstage. Something involving Tanner. One staff member who spoke anonymously said, Joseph looked shaken before the service even started. He kept pacing. He kept saying, I can't stay silent anymore. Whatever pushed him, whatever he saw, whatever conversation took place, it was strong enough to make him break the #1 rule of SBN. Never expose internal matters publicly. But Joseph did. And the shockwaves are still rolling. Who is Tanner Kratzer, and why is his name so dangerous? For years, Tanner worked in positions that gave him access to private recording, confidential ministry documents, internal communication, production room, off-air conversations, financial report, pastor-to-pastor messages that never saw the light of day. He wasn't a preacher, he wasn't a singer, he wasn't a public figure. He was something far more powerful, a man who sees everything but says nothing. The type of man every large ministry needs, and the type of man every large ministry fears. Because when someone like Tanner speaks, their words can shake foundations. What did Joseph mean by he knows too much? This is the question burning across social media right now. Did Joseph slip? Did he warn the church? Was this intentional? Or was this a message directed straight at Tanner? Sources inside SBN claim that the phrase Joseph used, he knows too much, refers to 3 possible areas. 1. Internal disputes between key leaders. Rumors of disagreements that never reach the public. 2. Financial questions and old records. Every ministry has accounting, but some documents hold stories no one wants told. 3. Off-camera moments from SBN personality. He allegedly handled raw, unedited footage, the kind that is never supposed to be seen. And Tanner? He reportedly kept everything. Why did Joseph Larson confront him now? This is where things get even more intense. Insiders claim Tanner had recently asked uncomfortable questions, challenged a decision made by leadership, and allegedly hinted that he could expose a lot if pushed. Whether this is true or not, Joseph mentioning him publicly suggests something behind the scenes is boiling. One staff member said, Tanner was calm, too calm, and that worried some people. Another claimed, he has things documented. He keeps everything. He doesn't forget. So when Joseph said the words, he can destroy this church, people didn't hear it as an exaggeration. They heard it as a warning. The atmosphere inside Family Worship Center after the statement. After Joseph called Tanner out, the church atmosphere changed instantly. People looked stunned. Some looked scared. Even musicians paused for a moment. Cameras zoomed in slowly, uncertain if they should even broadcast what just happened. Someone from the media booth whispered, do we cut this? Do we mute it? Do we act like it didn't happen? But it was too late. Millions watching worldwide had already heard it. And once words like these escape into the air, they can never be taken back. What makes Tanner a threat? The 3 hidden access points. Here is where the story gets dark, very dark. Because Tanner Kratzer wasn't just any employee. He had access to 1. red-level audio file. Conversations recorded before and after broadcasts, moments when people forget the mic is still hot. 2. Unedited footage. Footage that never aired, footage that was ordered to be deleted, footage that someone saved. 3. Internal memory drive. Archives that contain years of ministry secrets. And for years, no one worried about Tanner, because he never spoke. But recently, he began asking questions. He began noticing changes. He began collecting too much. And Joseph clearly felt something coming. Why would Joseph risk his own position to call this out? Joseph Larson is not reckless. He is not emotional. He is not known for causing drama. So for him to say this publicly means he believes something serious is coming. Maybe a leak. Maybe a confrontation. Maybe a document Tanner is preparing to release. Maybe something involving leadership transitions. Maybe something personal. Whatever it is, Joseph chose to speak before Tanner did. And that says everything. The aftermath. Chaos behind the scenes. As soon as the service ended, chaos erupted backstage. People rushed toward Joseph, demanding, "Why did you say his name? Do you know what you've done? Did something happen? Was this planned?" Meanwhile, Tanner reportedly walked out calm, quiet, expressionless. One staff member described it. He didn't say a word. He just picked up his bag, looked at the building, and walked away. That silent walk has everyone terrified, because silence is dangerous. Silence means he is thinking. Silence means he is deciding. And when a man who knows too much is silent, people lose sleep. When a ministry as massive as SBN goes silent, there is always a storm forming behind the scene. And after Joseph Larson's explosive accusation, a storm was not just forming, it had already started. Because the moment the service ended, phones began vibrating, text messages flew through private staff groups, department heads were summoned quietly, security cameras were rewound, private hallways filled with hushed voices, and everyone knew something dangerous was coming, something involving one man, Tanner Kratzer, the walk that terrified the entire ministry. When Tanner walked out of the building, calm, silent, unbothered, that walk felt more dangerous than anything Joseph had said. Because when a man who has access, who has proof, who has recording, who has document, who has unedited backstage footage, who has internal file, and who knows too much, walks out without saying a word, that silence is louder than any explosion. One staff worker described it. It was like watching a time bomb walking down the hallway, except no one knows when it will explode. Another said, he didn't argue, he didn't defend himself, he didn't react. That scared people more than anything. Because quiet men don't panic. Quiet men plan. The emergency meeting, SBN in crisis mode. Within 45 minutes of Tanner leaving, the top leadership at SBN entered the Green Room 3, a place familiar for private conversation. Doors were locked, security stood outside. Phones were reportedly requested to be placed in a basket to avoid recording. One person who attended the meeting and spoke anonymously said, "The atmosphere was tense. No one wanted to say the wrong thing. People were shaken by what Joseph had done." The biggest questions in the room were, why did Joseph name Tanner? Was Tanner already threatening something? Does Tanner still have access to files? What exactly does he know? Is he planning to leak? And worst of all, is this about to become public? Joseph Larson, trapped in his own words. Inside the meeting, Joseph reportedly looked exhausted, not defiant, not proud, not angry, just tired. A staff member said, he looked like a man under pressure. He looked like someone who had seen something he wasn't supposed to see. When asked why he said Tanner's name publicly, Joseph replied, "I spoke because I was pushed into a corner. Something had to be said." Someone asked, "What exactly does Tanner have?" Joseph didn't answer. He just said, "Enough." And that one word chilled the room. Because in a ministry filled with cameras, recordings, private meetings, and old secrets, enough can mean anything. Who pushed Joseph? And why now? This is where the story becomes more twisted. According to insiders, something happened the night before Joseph's statement. Something involving Tanner. He reported, confronted someone, questioned a decision, exposed an inconsistency, or hinted that he wasn't blind to certain things. The rumor spreading internally is that Tanner may have said, "Don't forget, I've seen everything. Don't push me." Whether he actually said this or not doesn't matter. What matters is, this was the moment Joseph realized Tanner wasn't just a quiet employee. He was a threat to the ministry, a threat to the system, a threat to the silence that holds everything together. The 3 secret departments Tanner had access to. Most viewers of SBN have no idea how powerful certain positions are. And Tanner worked in 3 departments that gave him the kind of access no normal employee should ever have. 1. Raw media archives, the dark room. Every uncut sermon, every rehearsal, every conversation before the camera goes live, every private moment accidentally recorded, every backstage mic left on, every accidental confession. Nothing gets deleted instantly. Everything passes through the archive. And Tanner had access. 2. Internal communication network, the back channel. He allegedly saw messages, internal memo, emergency notices, conflict report, HR cases, staff disciplinary file, and private warnings sent to on-air personalities. Things that would destroy reputations if revealed. And Tanner saw it all. 3. Financial administrative gateways. Not full accounting, but enough to see who was paid, how much, for what, and when the amounts changed suddenly. He reportedly kept notes. He reportedly noticed patterns, and this made him very dangerous. Is Tanner preparing a leak? This is the fear shaking the entire ministry right now. According to sources close to him, Tanner has not responded to calls. Tanner has not returned to the building. Tanner has not posted on social media. Tanner has not denied or confirmed anything. He is silent, but he is active online, searching, reading, and waiting. One staffer said, "He's too smart to explode immediately. He will watch how they react. He will calculate his move." This statement alone is enough to keep every leader awake at night. Because Tanner is not emotional. He is logical. And logical people expose only when it benefits them. The 5 possible secrets Tanner may hold. People are now guessing. What does Tanner? What could destroy the church? Sources say Tanner may have 1. Unreleased backstage audio of arguments or fights, some involving big names. 2. Deleted footage that was never supposed to exist, moments that would shock viewers. 3. Confidential messages revealing internal disagreements. 4. Statements made by leadership in private. 5. Evidence of decisions made behind closed doors that contradict public claim. Any one of these could cause damage, but combined, they could shake the entire foundation of SBN. Joseph's real fear. What did he see? This is the biggest mystery. Something triggered Joseph. Something Tanner did. Something Tanner revealed. Something Tanner hinted at. One source said, Joseph saw something on a screen in the archive room. Something that shook. Another said, Joseph received information that Tanner kept private backups of certain files. And a third source said, there is one recording, one that everyone is scared of. And Tanner has the original. No one knows which rumor is true. But all 3 line up with Joseph's fear. The power shift. People choosing sides. In large ministries, when a crisis starts, people start forming silent alliances. And right now, there are 3 groups. Group A, people supporting Joseph. They believe he spoke the truth. They think Tanner is a danger. They think Joseph tried to warn the church. Group B, people sympathizing with Tanner. They think Joseph made a public mistake. They think Tanner was wrongly targeted.